if your wife comes home?
Claire? She's so gullible.
You really think she'd stay?
She'll never leave. She loves me too much. She practically worships me.
The front door slammed against the wall. Claire Bennett froze before she even stepped into the living room. A woman's laugh echoed through the house. Not just any laugh. The kind that sounded comfortable. Like she belonged there. Claire tightened her grip on the grocery bags. She had come home 2 days early from visiting her aunt after Ethan insisted she take a break. Now she understood why. She heard heels crossing the hardwood floor. Then Ethan's voice. Relax. A younger woman giggled nervously. I don't know your wife. Claire's heart pounded so loudly she could barely hear. Ethan chuckled. My wife isn't the problem. The woman lowered her voice. But what if she comes home? Ethan laughed harder. Claire, he scoffed. She worships me. She won't leave. I could bring you here every weekend, and she'd still find a reason to forgive me. The woman looked uncertain. That's cruel. Ethan wrapped an arm around her waist. You don't understand. He smirked. Everything she has is because of me. That company, my name, that house, my success. Without me, she'd have nothing. Claire stood silently behind the hallway wall. Every word landed like a knife. For 15 years, she had defended him, protected him, loved him, and this was who he really was. She quietly placed the grocery bags on the floor. Without making a sound, she backed toward the front door. Neither of them noticed she had been there. Outside, she sat inside her car. For nearly 5 minutes, she couldn't start the engine. Tears blurred her vision. She wasn't crying because he had cheated. She was crying because she finally understood something everyone else had been trying to tell her for years. He had never mistaken her kindness. He had mistaken it for weakness. Claire wiped her face. She opened her phone. Instead of calling Ethan, she called one person. Good afternoon, Harrison Legal Group. I need to speak with Olivia Grant. May I tell her who's calling? Tell her. Claire swallowed. Tell her it's time. The following morning, Ethan walked downstairs wearing silk pajamas while checking messages on his phone. Claire. No answer. He smiled. Still pouting. He walked into the dining room. Then stopped. A large envelope sat perfectly centered on the table. Next to it, a wedding ring. His smile disappeared. He opened the envelope. The first page read, Petition for dissolution of marriage. What the? He flipped the page. Another document. Another. Property records. Trust certificates. Corporate filings. Before he could process any of it, his phone rang. Claire. No. A calm female voice answered. This is Olivia Grant, attorney for Mrs. Claire Bennett. What is this? It's the beginning. What game is Claire playing? Olivia's voice remained steady. My client has instructed me to inform you that all jointly accessible assets have been frozen pending legal review. Ethan laughed. You people don't know who you're dealing with. We do, Mr. Bennett. Click. The line went dead. Ethan immediately called Claire. Straight to voicemail. He called again. Nothing. He cursed under his breath. Fine. You'll come back. You always do. 15 years earlier, Claire wasn't looking for love. She was building a future. After both of her parents passed away within 18 months of each other, they left her something far greater than money. They left her responsibility. A custom furniture workshop, several commercial properties, investment accounts, and a notebook filled with original furniture designs her father had sketched over 40 years. Claire had added hundreds of her own designs beside his. She had studied architecture, interior design, manufacturing. She loved creating beautiful spaces. Money had never interested her. Creating things did. That was where she met Ethan Bennett. He was handsome, confident, funny. He had enormous dreams, just not the finances to match them. I have this vision, Ethan told her over coffee during their third date. A luxury furniture brand. Claire smiled. Tell me. For nearly 2 hours. He talked. She listened. When he finished, she smiled warmly. I think it can work. His face lit up. You really think so? I do. He reached across the table. No one's ever believed in me like that. Claire squeezed his hand. I do. She meant every word. Within a year, they married. It wasn't extravagant. Neither of them wanted that. Just family. Friends. Hope. 6 months later, Ethan came home looking defeated. He dropped his briefcase beside the door. I lost my job. Claire immediately stood. She wrapped her arms around him. We'll figure it out. He buried his face against her shoulder. I failed. No. She gently pulled back. You lost a job. That isn't the same thing. He shook his head. We're finished. Claire smiled. No. She walked upstairs, returned with a blue folder. She placed it on the dining table. What's this? My inheritance. He stared. I can't take that. You aren't taking it. We're investing it. His eyes widened. Claire, my parents spent their lives building something. She smiled. I think they'd want us to build something too. Within months, Claire mortgaged one commercial property, used another as collateral, converted her father's workshop into a modern production facility, personally met suppliers, negotiated manufacturing contracts, designed the first product collection herself. She spent nights sketching, days supervising production. Ethan handled investors, sales, networking. He was exceptional with people. Claire hated attention. Whenever reporters arrived, she quietly disappeared into the workshop. I'd rather let the furniture speak. She always said. The company exploded. Within 3 years, Bennett Living became one of the fastest-growing luxury home brands in Georgia. Magazine covers featured Ethan. Television interviews praised Ethan. Business podcasts invited Ethan. Claire never complained. Whenever journalists asked why she wasn't beside him, she laughed. He enjoys the spotlight. I enjoy creating. People called them the perfect couple. Only their closest friend, Monica, wasn't convinced. One evening after a company gala, Monica sat beside Claire. Can I ask you something? Claire smiled. Of course. When was the last time Ethan publicly thanked you? Claire laughed softly. He thanks me all the time. No. Monica looked directly into her eyes. I said publicly. Claire fell silent. Monica continued. When was the last interview where he mentioned you built those collections? Claire looked away. He's busy. Claire. Monica sighed. I watched that interview. He called himself the founder. Claire defended him immediately. He probably didn't mean it like that. Monica reached for her hand. I hope you're right. Claire smiled. So do I. Months became years. Interviews changed. The company website changed. The company's origin story changed. The sentence, founded by Ethan Bennett, appeared on every brochure. Claire noticed. She simply never said anything. Because every night Ethan still kissed her forehead. Every anniversary, he bought flowers. Every apology sounded sincere. Every promise sounded believable. And every time someone questioned him, Claire answered with exactly the same sentence. He loves me. She believed it. Until the afternoon, she heard him tell another woman. She worships me. She'll never leave. If you've ever watched someone mistake your love for permission to hurt you, take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. You never know whose story might help someone else find the strength to choose themselves. Claire didn't know it yet, but the woman Ethan had just humiliated wasn't the woman who had walked into that house. She was about to become the woman who walked away from it forever. Claire didn't answer a single one of Ethan's calls. By the end of the first day, he had called 37 times. By the second day, the messages became less confident. Ethan, Claire, enough with the drama. A few minutes later, Ethan, can we talk? Then, Ethan, where are you? By the third morning, Ethan, baby, please answer. Let's fix this. Claire listened to every voicemail without replying. Not because she still wanted to hear his voice. Because Olivia had advised her to save everything. People reveal themselves when they think they're losing control, Olivia had told her. Every message is evidence of who he really is. Claire simply nodded. She wasn't interested in revenge. She wanted the truth. That same afternoon, Ethan stormed into Bennett Living's headquarters. Employees immediately noticed the tension. His assistant hurried after him. Sir, your 10 o'clock meeting. Cancel it. What about the investors? I said cancel everything. He marched straight into the executive office. His chief operating officer, Vanessa Reed, was already waiting. She closed the door behind him. So, Ethan threw the divorce papers onto the desk. She actually filed. Vanessa folded her arms. I told you she was getting suspicious. No. Ethan shook his head. Claire doesn't have the guts. She'll cool off. She always does. Vanessa studied him for a long moment. Are you sure? He smirked. You don't know Claire. She forgave me after Miami. She frowned. And Chicago? He shrugged. And Cabo? Vanessa couldn't hide her surprise. She knew. Not everything. He laughed. But enough. And she stayed. He leaned back proudly. I told you. She can't imagine life without me. Neither of them noticed the tiny recording light blinking inside the conference room speaker. Months earlier, Claire had approved a company-wide security upgrade after confidential product designs leaked online. Every executive conference room automatically archived conversations for compliance. Very few people remembered the feature existed. Claire did. Across town, Claire sat inside Olivia's office. The attorney placed several folders on the table. "I need you to prepare yourself." Claire inhaled slowly. "I'm ready." Olivia opened the first file. "These are financial transfers from Bennett Living over the last 4 years." Claire frowned. "I don't understand." "You will." She slid another folder across. "Several $1 million left company accounts." Claire blinked. "For what?" "Consulting." "What consulting?" Olivia looked directly at her. "Exactly." Claire felt her stomach tighten. "You're saying money disappeared?" Olivia nodded. "We hired a forensic accountant. He'll explain it better." A man entered moments later. "Mrs. Bennett. I'm Daniel Foster." He shook her hand gently before opening his laptop. "These companies." He pointed to the screen. "They exist only on paper." Claire leaned closer. "No employees?" "No." "No offices?" "No." "No products?" "No." "Then why were they paid?" Daniel clicked another document. "Because someone wanted company money to disappear." Claire stared silently. He opened another file. "It gets worse." Her heartbeat quickened. "There are documents transferring intellectual property." Claire frowned. "My furniture designs?" "Yes." "My father's designs?" "Yes." "My manufacturing patents?" "Yes." "To who?" Daniel turned the screen. One name appeared. Reed Legacy Holdings. Claire looked confused. "Who's that?" Olivia answered quietly. "Vanessa Reed." Claire slowly leaned back. "They're working together." Neither Olivia nor Daniel spoke. They didn't have to. Neither Olivia nor Daniel spoke. They didn't have to. That evening, Ethan finally found Claire. She was sitting alone inside a quiet coffee shop. He smiled as if nothing had happened. "There you are." Claire looked up calmly. "You've been avoiding me." She folded her hands. "I've been protecting my peace." He sat across from her. "You embarrassed me." Claire almost laughed. "I embarrassed you. You filed for divorce. You disappeared. You froze accounts." People nearby began glancing toward them. Claire lowered her voice. "You brought another woman into our home." He sighed dramatically. "It didn't mean anything." She smiled sadly. "That's supposed to make it better?" "It was a mistake. You've made a lot of mistakes." He leaned closer. "Claire, you know I love you." She held his gaze. "No. You love what I gave you." His expression hardened. "You've been talking to people. I've finally been listening." For several seconds neither of them spoke. Then Ethan changed tactics. His voice softened. "You remember when we started?" Claire nodded. "I remember everything. We built this together. We can fix it." She looked into his eyes. "I believed that for 15 years. And now? Now I know I was building while you were taking." His patience disappeared. "So that's it? You'll throw away a marriage over one stupid affair?" Claire's eyes filled with tears. "It wasn't the affair." He frowned. "It was hearing you tell another woman that my love made me too weak to leave." Silence. For the first time, Ethan had no answer. Claire stood. "I loved you enough to give you my future." She placed money on the table for her untouched coffee. "I'm finally choosing myself." She walked away. Ethan watched her leave. His jaw tightened. As soon as she disappeared outside, he pulled out his phone. "Vanessa, it's worse than I thought." The next morning, Vanessa entered Ethan's office carrying a folder. "We're running out of time." He rubbed his forehead. "What do you mean?" "Claire already knows about Reed Legacy Holdings." His face drained of color. "How?" "I don't know. But if forensic accountants are involved, they'll eventually find everything." She placed another document in front of him. "So we move first." He read it. "A transfer authorization?" She nodded. "If Claire signs this, ownership of the remaining manufacturing rights moves before the divorce." He looked uncertain. "She won't sign." Vanessa smiled confidently. "She doesn't have to." He looked up. "What are you saying?" "I've already hired someone. Someone who can reproduce signatures." Ethan stared at her. "That's illegal." Vanessa laughed quietly. "So is what we've been doing for 3 years." He remained silent. She leaned across the desk. "Listen to me. If Claire wins, you lose everything. I lose everything. So either we finish this, or we both go down." Ethan slowly looked at the papers again. His hands trembled. For only a second, Then he picked up the pen. Do it. 3 days later, Claire received another phone call. It was Monica. You need to turn on the television. Claire grabbed the remote. A business news channel filled the screen. The presenter smiled brightly. CEO Ethan Bennett has announced that his wife has decided to step away from Bennett Living for personal wellness reasons. Claire's eyes widened. The reporter continued. Sources close to the family say Mrs. Bennett has been struggling emotionally for several months. Another headline appeared. Claire Bennett takes leave amid personal issues. Monica's voice came through the phone. He just called you unstable. Claire closed her eyes. I know. You okay? She took a slow breath. No. But I will be. That afternoon, Bennett Living employees began whispering in the hallways. Some believed Ethan. Others didn't. One person remained unusually quiet. The company's chief financial officer, Lisa Monroe. She stood inside the accounting department staring at her computer screen. Then she opened a locked drawer. Inside sat a small encrypted flash drive. For over a year, she had been copying emails, invoices, wire transfers, board approvals, hidden payment instructions, everything. She whispered to herself, I can't keep pretending. She picked up her phone. Her finger hovered over Olivia Grant's business card. Before she could dial, a text message appeared. It was from Vanessa. I hope you're staying loyal. People who switch sides usually regret it. Lisa's hands began shaking. She looked at the flash drive again, then toward the office where Ethan was laughing with Vanessa as though nothing had happened. For the first time, she realized staying silent wasn't protecting her anymore. It was helping destroy the only innocent person left in the company. Lisa stared at the flashing message for several seconds. Then she deleted it. Not because she wasn't afraid. Because she was tired. For 14 months, she had signed papers she knew were wrong. Approved transfers she couldn't explain. Watched millions disappear into companies that existed only on paper. Every time she questioned Ethan or Vanessa, they reminded her of one thing. You work for us. No. She worked for the company. There was a difference. She picked up her phone and dialed Olivia. My name is Lisa Monroe. I'm the chief financial officer at Bennett Living. There was silence on the other end. Then Olivia spoke carefully. How can I help you, Ms. Monroe? Lisa took a deep breath. I have everything. The following morning, Claire, Olivia, Daniel, and Lisa sat around a conference table. Lisa placed the encrypted flash drive in front of them. I made copies of every email. Daniel looked surprised. Every email. Lisa nodded. I knew something was wrong a long time ago. Claire asked quietly, why didn't you come sooner? Lisa lowered her head. I was scared. They told me if I spoke, I'd lose my career. She looked at Claire with tears in her eyes. But when I saw Mr. Bennett telling the world you were unstable, and knowing you were the one who kept this company alive, I couldn't stay silent anymore. Daniel plugged the drive into his laptop. One by one, folders appeared. Wire transfers, fake invoices, shell companies, forged contracts, private emails. Then one folder caught his attention. He clicked it. An email chain appeared on the screen. Olivia leaned forward. Read it. Daniel cleared his throat. Once Claire signs the transfer papers, file for divorce immediately. Another email. She'll never fight back. She still thinks love fixes everything. Claire closed her eyes. Daniel opened the next one. It was from Vanessa. After the assets move into our holding company, Ethan becomes disposable. We'll remove him after 6 months. The room fell silent. Claire slowly looked up. Ethan didn't know? Daniel shook his head. No. He thought he was using Vanessa. Olivia sighed. She was using him too. For the first time since filing for divorce. Claire didn't feel anger. She felt pity. The emergency board meeting was packed. Board members, investors, company attorneys, senior staff. Ethan entered confidently. Vanessa walked beside him, wearing a victorious smile. Then they saw Claire. She wasn't alone. Olivia, Daniel, Lisa, and 3 independent forensic investigators. Ethan's smile faded. The board chairman adjusted his glasses. Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Bennett, we've received serious allegations regarding financial misconduct. Ethan stood. These accusations are ridiculous. They're coming from an emotional spouse trying to destroy me. Claire remained seated. She didn't interrupt. The chairman nodded toward Daniel. You may begin. Daniel projected the financial records onto the large screen. For 4 years, $23 million was transferred into companies controlled directly or indirectly by Ms. Vanessa Reed. Murmurs filled the room. Vanessa immediately stood. Those were consulting fees. Daniel smiled politely. For companies without employees? Without offices? Without products? She couldn't answer. Daniel continued. We also discovered forged signature requests. He displayed another document. Claire recognized it instantly. The transfer authorization Ethan had tried to obtain. Daniel spoke calmly. This signature does not belong to Mrs. Bennett. It was digitally created. Every eye turned toward Ethan. He looked at Vanessa. What? Vanessa avoided his eyes. You told me. She finally spoke. I handled the paperwork. His face turned pale. You forged it. She remained silent. The silence answered for her. Then Lisa stood. I'd like to submit additional evidence. She handed copies to every board member. I personally received instructions from Mr. Bennett and Ms. Reed directing me to bypass financial controls. Ethan jumped to his feet. Lisa, she looked directly at him. No, you don't get to intimidate me anymore. The room became completely silent. Then Olivia stood. My client would also like to clarify ownership. She placed several original documents on the table. The company headquarters, the manufacturing workshop, the patents, the original furniture designs, the commercial properties. All were placed into the Bennett Family Trust before the company was incorporated. The chairman frowned. So the company, Olivia nodded, has only been licensing those assets. Claire finally spoke. Softly. I never wanted ownership to become an issue. I only wanted my marriage. No one spoke. She continued. I trusted my husband. I never imagined I'd need protection from him. One elderly board member removed his glasses. He looked at Ethan. Is any of this untrue? Ethan opened his mouth. Nothing came out. He slowly turned toward Vanessa. You said we'd be fine. Vanessa laughed bitterly. We would have been. If your wife hadn't stopped acting like the obedient little wife you promised she'd always be. Every head turned toward Ethan. Claire's eyes filled with tears. She finally understood. Those cruel words in the house. They hadn't been said once. They'd been repeated for years. The chairman called for a vote. All those in favor of removing Ethan Bennett as chief executive officer effective immediately. One hand, then another, then another. Every hand rose, including Lisa's. The chairman turned. Ms. Reed, you are also removed effective immediately. Security stepped forward. Vanessa glared at Ethan. This is your fault. Ethan stared back. My fault. You were planning to replace me. She smirked. I learned from watching you replace your wife. Neither of them spoke again. Security escorted them out. Claire watched quietly. There was no celebration. No applause. Just silence. 6 weeks later, the divorce became official. Olivia smiled as she handed Claire the final documents. You won. Claire gently closed the folder. No, I survived. Months passed. The company changed its name. Bennett and Hart Designs. Underneath, a new line appeared. Founded by Claire Bennett and Ethan Bennett. One journalist asked Claire why she hadn't removed Ethan's name entirely. She smiled. Because telling the truth means telling all of it. He helped build the business. So did I. I'm correcting history, not rewriting it. She stepped away from the cameras. Exactly as she always preferred. An independent CEO took over daily operations. Lisa became chief financial officer permanently. A whistleblower protection policy was introduced. Employees received profit sharing for the first time. The workshop Claire's father built reopened. On her first morning back, she unlocked the old wooden doors herself. The familiar smell of fresh-cut oak filled the room. She smiled. Her father's drafting table was exactly where he'd left it. She opened a brand-new sketchbook. For several seconds, she simply looked at the blank page. Then she wrote one thing. Designed by Claire Bennett. She smiled through quiet tears. No one would erase her name again. Across town, Ethan sat alone in a small apartment. His phone hadn't rung in days. Vanessa had disappeared. Most of his business friends had stopped calling. He looked through an old photo album. There was Claire, covered in sawdust, laughing inside the workshop, holding the very first chair they had built together. He whispered to himself, she never wanted my success. She wanted us. By the time he understood, she was already gone. Real love had stood beside him for 15 years. He simply didn't recognize its value until he traded it for applause. Claire never hated Ethan. Hate would have chained her to the past. Instead, she chose peace. She chose dignity. Most importantly, she chose herself. Because love should never require someone to disappear, so another person can shine. The strongest women aren't the ones who never get hurt. They're the ones who finally decide they deserve better. If Claire's journey touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever seen someone mistake kindness for weakness? We'd love to hear your perspective. Until next time, remember this. The day you stop begging to be valued is often the day you begin valuing yourself the way you always deserved.